The HSS Defiant hung in Earth's orbit like a neglected antique, its hull bearing the marks of a dozen different alien civilizations' modifications over centuries. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck, watching her new command with mixed emotions. The ship was the Galactic Council's gift to humanity, their way of acknowledging Earth's admission into their ranks, while simultaneously ensuring humans remained firmly at the bottom of the hierarchy. "What do you think, XO?" she asked, not turning from the viewport. Commander David Okonjo stepped forward, his expression reflecting in the transparent aluminum. "It's seen better days, Captain." The Arcturians stripped most of the weapon systems before passing it to the Villari, who gutted the engines before the Mexi got their hands on it. By the time it reached us, he shrugged. "The Council calls it a gesture of goodwill." "They call it that," Chen agreed, "but we both know what it really is. A message. Know your place, humans." She finally turned from the viewport, her dark eyes sharp with determination. "Well, I say it's time we sent a message back." The next week saw the Defiance crew assembling, a collection of Earth's finest, though the Council would never acknowledge them as such. Lieutenant Commander Raj Patel, their chief engineer, spent 3 days just cataloging the ship's systems, discovering layers of technology spanning 7 different civilizations. "It's fascinating, really," he explained during the first senior staff meeting, projecting a holographic cross-section of the ship. Each species modified it according to their own technological paradigm, but never fully removed the previous systems. It's like an archaeological dig in spacecraft form. Dr. Maya Wong, their xenotechnology specialist, leaned forward. "The interesting part is how these systems interact, or rather, how they don't. The Mexi quantum field generators completely ignore the Bellari graviton condensers, even though combining them could theoretically multiply their effectiveness." "Could theoretically?" Chen raised an eyebrow. "Well," Wang shifted in her seat, "no one's ever tried. Each species sticks to their own technological development path. It's practically taboo to mix different civilizations' technologies." Chen smiled, an expression that her crew was quickly learning to recognize. "Then it's fortunate that humans have never cared much for taboos. Raj, Maya, I want you to start exploring every possible combination of these systems. David, work with Tactical to identify our weakest points. The Council thinks they've given us a museum piece. Let's show them what humans can do with a little history." Over the next month, the Defiant became a laboratory for human innovation. Raj and his engineering team discovered that the Arcturian power conduits, considered primitive by modern Council standards, could handle far more energy when reinforced with Earth's experimental carbon lattice technology. The Bellari sensors, operating on principles humans were only beginning to understand, showed unprecedented range when Maya's team linked them to Earth's quantum computing arrays. But it was in weapons development that the crew's creativity truly shined. Lieutenant Sarah Hassan, their weapons officer, had been a video game designer before joining the Space Force. Her perspective proved invaluable. "Look at it this way," she explained, gesturing to the tactical display. "The Mexi designed these plasma cannons to fire in straight lines, because that's how their targeting systems work. But if we route them through the Arcturian magnetic field generators..." The simulation showed enemy ships attempting to dodge plasma bolts that curved impossibly through space, guided by magnetic fields that no modern defense system was designed to counter. It was exactly the kind of thinking that would have horrified the Council, and exactly what Chen was looking for. The ship's AI, a quantum consciousness that had accumulated fragments of code from each of its previous owners, watched these modifications with growing interest. It had never encountered a species that thought quite like humans did, that saw limitations as challenges rather than absolutes. "Captain," it announced one morning, its holographic avatar flickering with unusual excitement, "I believe I have been operating at 31% efficiency due to conflicts between my various coding structures. However, if Lieutenant Hassan's game theory algorithms were applied to my neural architecture..." Chen authorized the AI's proposal, And within days, the ship's computer was processing information in ways that would have been considered impossible by conventional council doctrine. The Defiant was becoming something entirely new, neither human nor alien, but a synthesis of both, guided by human ingenuity and determination. As the modifications continued, Chen received regular messages from council observers, each more concerned than the last. They spoke of maintaining technological purity and respecting established paradigms. Chen filed each message appropriately in the ship's new quantum-enhanced recycling system. "They're afraid," David observed, watching the latest message dissolve into its component atoms, not of the ship itself, but of what it represents. Chen nodded. Change, innovation. The idea that maybe their way isn't the only way. She turned to her XO with a fierce grin. "And they should be afraid, because we're just getting started." The Defiant's crew had no way of knowing that their first test was approaching faster than anyone expected. In the darkness of space, signals were moving, and the ship that everyone had dismissed was about to show the galaxy exactly what humanity could do with an unwanted gift. The warning klaxons blared through the Defiant's corridors as another system overload threatened to tear the ship apart. In engineering, Raj Patel's hands flew across holographic interfaces, redirecting power through experimental pathways, while his team scrambled to contain the cascade failure. "Raj." Chen's voice cut through the chaos. "Status report. The Mexi plasma manifolds aren't playing nice with the human particle accelerators." He shouted back, sweat beading on his forehead. "The energy signature is completely unstable. We need to shut it down." But Dr. Wong was already moving, her fingers dancing across another console. "Wait. The instability. It's not random. Look at these patterns." On her screen, the energy fluctuations formed complex, recurring waves that seemed to defy conventional physics. The ship's eye, which the crew had taken to calling Atlas, projected a rapid series of calculations into the air. "Dr. Wong is correct," Atlas announced. "The interaction is creating a novel form of energy modulation. If properly controlled, it could increase our weapon efficiency by 300%. Chen's voice was steady. "Can you contain it?" "Not with conventional methods," Raj admitted. "But if we—" He paused, a dangerous glint in his eye. Permission to try something incredible. But their innovations weren't without cost. The strain on the ship's systems was enormous, and maintaining stability required constant adjustments. The engineering team worked in shifts around the clock, while Dr. Wong's research team struggled to document the new phenomena they were creating. Atlas proved invaluable during this period. The AI's hybrid nature, once considered a weakness, became its greatest strength. It could understand and predict the interactions between different technological systems in ways that no single-source AI could match. "It's rather like human culture itself," Atlas observed one quiet night shift. "The strength comes not from purity, but from the integration of diverse elements into something greater than the sum of its parts." The crew's greatest challenge came from the power requirements of their hybrid systems. The Defiant's energy consumption was off the charts, and conventional fueling methods couldn't keep up. It was Hassan who proposed the solution, inspired by her gaming background. "In RPGs, you often combine different types of energy to create more powerful effects," she explained. "What if we used the Bellari graviton condensers to amplify the output of our fusion reactors, then fed that through the Mexi quantum filters?" The idea was insane. It was reckless. It violated at least 15 different council safety protocols. They tried it immediately. The resulting power system was unlike anything the galaxy had seen, a perpetually cycling energy loop that grew more efficient the more systems it powered. It was dangerous, technically unstable, and required constant monitoring, but it worked. "Just like everything else on this ship," Raj commented wryly. "Shouldn't work, does anyway, gives council scientists nightmares. We should make that our motto." They were pushing boundaries never meant to be pushed, breaking rules never meant to be broken. But with each successful modification, each impossible achievement, The crew's confidence grew. The Defiant was becoming something unique in the galaxy, a testament to human ingenuity and determination. They had no way of knowing that their first real test was approaching. In a nearby sector, a distress signal was about to change everything, and the ship that defied convention would finally show the galaxy what it could do. The distress call came during third shift, a desperate cry for help from a Council medical transport under attack by raiders. Most Council ships in the sector ignored it. The transport's location was too far off established routes for a timely response, but the Defiant was different. "Time to intercept?" Chen asked, striding onto the bridge, still adjusting her uniform. 17 minutes at conventional speeds, David replied. "But if we use the new drive configuration?" Chen nodded. "Do it. Alert medical and tactical. Let's see what this ship can really do." The Defiant's hybrid drive system engaged, combining Mech-Say quantum tunneling with human-modified Delari gravitic pulses. The ship didn't just move through space, it twisted space around itself, achieving velocities that Council engineers had declared theoretically impossible. They arrived in 8 minutes. The scene that greeted them was grim. 3 sleek raider vessels surrounded the medical transport, their weapons systematically dismantling its shields. The raiders' ships were modern, powerful, and equipped with the latest Council-approved technology. "They're using Mech-Say shield disruptors," Hassan reported from Tactical. "Standard Council response would be to match frequencies and—" "We're not Standard Council," Chen interrupted. "Atlas, Tactical Analysis." The A's response was immediate. Raiders' shield systems are optimized against conventional weapons. They have no profiles for our hybrid armaments. Calculating optimal attack vectors now. Chen smiled. "Lieutenant Hassan, show them what human ingenuity looks like." The Defiant's first shot caught everyone by surprise, including the raiders. A combination of Arcturian plasma streams and human particle acceleration technology, guided by magnetic fields that bent space itself, the blast curved around the lead raider ship in an impossible arc. It struck from behind, passing through shields calibrated for straight-line attacks as if they didn't exist. The raider's engine section disappeared in a flash of light. What in the void? The raider commander's transmission crackled across all frequencies. "That's not possible." "Neither is attacking a medical transport," Chen responded coldly. "Surrender now." The raiders responded with a coordinated attack, bringing their superior numbers and modern weaponry to bear. Under normal circumstances, it would have been overwhelming. But the Defiant was far from normal. Dr. Wong's hybrid shield system proved its worth, shifting frequencies faster than the raiders' targeting computers could adapt. Raj's power distribution network kept their weapons at full strength even under heavy fire. And Hassan, drawing on her gaming background, used attack patterns that no conventional tactical officer would have conceived. "They're trying to predict our movements based on standard combat algorithms," Atlas observed, its processors whirring with calculations. "Shall I show them how humans fight?" The Defiant danced through space like a living thing, its movements unpredictable, its attacks coming from impossible angles. Human creativity combined with alien technology in ways that defied conventional combat doctrine. The raiders' superior ships, designed to fight opponents that followed the rules, found themselves outmatched by an opponent that wrote its own. The second raider fell when Hassan used the ship's graviton condensers to create a localized space-time distortion, a trick that had started as a power management solution. The raider's pilot, flying on automated systems, couldn't compensate for the sudden change in local physics. The ship spiraled into its own weapons fire. The third raider, realizing the fight was lost, attempted to flee. But the Defiant's hybrid drive system had other ideas. They caught the fleeing ship in a modified tractor beam that combined 3 different species technologies, holding it in place while precisely targeted shots disabled its engines. In less than 10 minutes, the battle was over. The medical transport was safe, its crew and patients unharmed, and the galaxy had just witnessed something unprecedented, a supposedly obsolete ship crewed by primitive humans, defeating 3 modern vessels through sheer innovation. The Council response was immediate and predictable. This is completely unacceptable. The emergency communication came from a senior Council representative, their holographic image flickering with agitation. Your methods violated 17 different combat protocols. The use of hybrid technologies in military engagement is strictly successful, Chen interrupted. Or would you prefer we had followed protocol and let those patients die? The Council member sputtered. That's not. You can't just. There are procedures. Yes, Chen agreed. Human procedures. We work with what we have, we innovate, and we get results. If the Council has a problem with that, they're welcome to take back their gift. Her smile was challenging. Of course, they'd have to catch us first. After the communication ended, David approached his captain. The Council won't let this go. They'll see us as a threat now. Good, Chen replied. Because we're not done showing them what humanity can do. Raj, how are the systems holding up? Better than expected, Captain. The combat data is already helping us refine our modifications. We can improve efficiency by at least 30%. Chen nodded, watching as crew members helped transfer medical supplies to the grateful transport. The Defiant had proven itself in battle, but she knew this was just the beginning. The Council's comfortable assumptions about humanity had been shattered, and their response would be interesting. As if reading her thoughts, Atlas spoke up. Captain, I'm detecting increased Council communications throughout the sector. They're redirecting patrols, updating threat assessments. It seems we've made quite an impression. That was the goal, Chen said. Humanity's been playing by their rules since first contact. It's time they learn to play by ours. The Defiant moved through space, its hybrid systems humming with power, its crew proud and confident. They had transformed an unwanted gift into something revolutionary, and the galaxy would never be the same. News of the Defiant's victory spread through Council space like a quantum cascade. The official reports dismissed it as an anomaly, but the underground networks told a different story. Footage of the battle, captured by the medical transport sensors, showed something that shouldn't have been possible. A retrofitted patrol ship moving and fighting in ways that defied conventional physics. The Council's response was swift but subtle. Officially, nothing changed. Unofficially, ships began avoiding the Defiant's patrol routes. Trade vessels requested human escorts. And in the shadows, something darker stirred. Captain, Atlas announced one morning, I've detected a pattern in recent attack reports. 23 raids on human colonies in the past month, all using similar tactics. This isn't random. Chen studied the data projected in her ready room. The attacks were precise, professional, and specifically targeted human settlements. Someone's testing our defenses. And learning from each encounter, David added. The latest attacks show countermeasures against standard human military responses, but not against us, Chen mused. Because we're anything but standard. Atlas, what's your analysis? The AI's holographic form flickered as it processed. The attack patterns suggest Council Special Operations training, but the energy signatures don't match any known Council vessels. Deniable assets, Chen concluded. The Council's using proxies to probe our capabilities without officially violating treaties. The situation escalated 3 days later. A distress call reached them from New Eden, Earth's largest extrasolar colony. The settlement was under attack by forces that significantly outmatched the local defense fleet. When the Defiant arrived, they found a scene of calculated devastation. 6 ships of unknown design were methodically destroying the colony's infrastructure. Their technology was a mix of various Council species innovations, but integrated in ways that seemed eerily familiar. They're using our playbook, Raj observed grimly. Hybrid technologies, unconventional configurations. Someone's been studying us. Good, Chen replied. Then they should appreciate what happens next. Battle stations. The enemy fleet's commander was clearly surprised when the Defiant engaged without waiting for reinforcements. but their surprise turned to shock when they realized what they were facing. Hassan's latest weapons modifications combined Bilari phase technology with human-designed quantum warheads, creating explosions that existed in multiple planes of spacetime simultaneously. No single shield frequency could block them completely. The enemy adapted quickly, demonstrating their own hybrid systems. Their shields shifted patterns in ways that mimicked the Defiant's defenses, but lacked the creative spark that made human innovations so unpredictable. "They copied our methods," Dr. Wong observed during the battle. "But they're still thinking like the Council. All their combinations follow logical progressions. They're not making the intuitive leaps that make our systems work." The battle pushed both sides to their limits. The enemy had numbers and raw power, but the Defiant had something they couldn't copy: a crew that thrived on impossible situations. "Raj," Chen called out as their shields buckled under concentrated fire, "remember that power surge problem from last week? The one that nearly blew up half the engine deck?" "Yeah, why? Can you recreate it?" "Deliberately this time." The engineer's eyes widened. "That's insane. I love it." What followed would become legendary in human space. The Defiant appeared to suffer a catastrophic power failure, drawing the enemy ships in for the kill. But it was a trap. When they closed in, Raj triggered a controlled overload of their hybrid power systems. The resulting energy pulse was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. It combined the worst characteristics of 3 different civilizations' power systems, creating a cascade of destructive resonances that bypassed shields designed to stop conventional attacks. 2 enemy ships were disabled instantly. A third spun out of control, its systems scrambled. The remaining vessels retreated, but not before the Defiant's enhanced sensors captured detailed scans of their technology. The aftermath brought more questions than answers. Analysis of the debris revealed Council technology, but modified in ways that even the Defiant's crew found shocking. "They're not just copying our methods," Dr. Wong reported, examining the wreckage. "They're pushing boundaries we haven't even approached yet. Whoever they are, they've been planning this for a while." Chen stood at her usual spot on the observation deck, watching repair crews work on New Eden's orbital facilities. "They wanted us to see this," she said when David joined her. "They're sending a message." "What message?" "That we're not the only ones who can break the rules." The Council's comfortable worldview was built on strictly controlled technological development. "We showed them another way was possible. And now," she gestured at the debris field, "now someone's taking that lesson to its logical conclusion." "Captain," Atlas interrupted, "I'm detecting increased encrypted communications throughout Council space. Multiple high-priority signals using frequencies reserved for military emergencies." Chen nodded. "They're mobilizing. The Council can't ignore this anymore, not when their own methods are being used against them." She turned to her XO. "How are our systems after the battle?" "Raj says the controlled overload stressed everything to the limit. We'll need at least a week to get back to full capacity." "He has 3 days," Chen replied. "Something bigger is coming, and we need to be ready." As if to confirm her words, a priority message arrived from Earth Command. The Council had called an emergency session. The topic: dealing with the proliferation of unauthorized technological integration. "They created us," Chen murmured, watching the message scroll across her screen. "Gave us their cast-offs, expected us to stay in our place. Instead, we showed the galaxy that their rules were just suggestions." The Defiant moved through space, its systems humming with power that shouldn't exist, carrying a crew that refused to accept limitations. They had changed the galaxy in ways no one had anticipated, and the consequences were only beginning to unfold. The Emergency Council session was unlike anything in galactic history. Representatives from every major species gathered in the Grand Chamber, their voices a cacophony of worry and accusation. At the center of the storm stood Captain Chen, the Defiant's sensor logs playing above the assembly. "You've destabilized centuries of technological development protocols," a Mexe elder declared, their scales shifting anxious patterns. Your reckless experimentation has inspired others to abandon safety protocols. With respect, Chen interrupted. Those protocols were already failing. The raiders who attacked New Eden didn't learn from us. They've been developing their hybrid technologies for years. We just forced them into the open. The chamber erupted in argument until a new voice cut through the chaos. A figure emerged from the shadows, tall, elegant, wearing the distinctive robes of the Council's Special Technologies Division. Captain Chen is correct, the figure announced. I am Director Vex, and what I'm about to share is classified at the highest levels. The attack on New Eden wasn't conducted by raiders. It was a test, performed by a faction within the Council itself. The revelation hit like a quantum detonation. Chen's eyes narrowed as pieces fell into place. You've been experimenting with hybrid technologies in secret, haven't you? While preaching about technological purity to the rest of the galaxy. Vex nodded. For decades, but our progress was limited. We approached it methodically, scientifically, following careful protocols. Then humanity arrived, and in mere months, you achieved what our best minds couldn't in years. Because you did something we never considered. We played. Hassan spoke up from her position by the tactical display. We experimented. We failed and tried again, without worrying about breaking rules or following established patterns. Precisely, Vex agreed. And now elements within the Council want to seize that knowledge, to control it before it spreads further. They've assembled a fleet using our prototype hybrid technologies. They mean to take the Defiant, study its innovations, and then ensure no one can ever threaten the Council's technological dominance again. Warning signals flashed across Atlas's holographic form. Captain, multiple ships dropping out of FTL at the edge of the system. Energy signatures matched the New Eden attackers, but more advanced. The tactical display showed 15 vessels, each larger and more powerful than the Defiant, approaching in attack formation. Their design incorporated aspects of every Council species technology, refined through years of secret development. This is madness, David protested. They're going to start a war. No, Chen replied, understanding dawning in her eyes. They're going to lose one. She turned to the assembled Council. You wanted to know what humanity could do with your cast-offs. Watch carefully. The Defiant moved to intercept the oncoming fleet, but it wasn't alone. During the weeks since New Eden, Raj and his team had been busy. The debris they'd salvaged, the data they'd gathered, it hadn't just been for analysis. Atlas, Chen commanded, initiate Protocol Prometheus. The AI's avatar smiled. Throughout the Council station, supposedly deactivated systems hummed to life. Emergency transmitters, waste recycling units, even the station's basic lighting systems, all began broadcasting on frequencies that should have been impossible. What are you doing? Vex demanded. Sharing, Chen replied. Every modification we've made, every innovation we've discovered, we're broadcasting it to every ship and station in range. The plans, the theories, the failures and successes, all of it. You can't. The technological balance was a lie. Chen cut him off. Knowledge doesn't belong to any one species. Innovation shouldn't be controlled. You gave us a gift, thinking it would keep us in our place. Instead, we're giving it back to the galaxy. The approaching fleet opened fire, their hybrid weapons technologies bringing to bear more raw power than the Defiant could hope to match. But power wasn't everything. Hassan's targeting systems, guided by Atlas's enhanced processing, found weak points that shouldn't have existed. Raj's power distribution network channeled energy in ways that defied conventional physics. Dr. Wong's sensor modifications revealed critical vulnerabilities in the enemy's hybrid systems. But the real surprise came from the civilian ships watching the battle. As the Defiant's broadcast spread, crews began implementing the modifications in real time. Merchant vessels, patrol ships, even personal transports. Suddenly, the enemy fleet faced not one ship using impossible technologies, but dozens. The battle that followed would be studied for generations. The enemy fleet, for all its power, fought according to carefully tested protocols. Their hybrid technologies were refined, precise, and predictable. They faced an improvised fleet of civilian ships, each implementing human innovations in unique and unexpected ways. A tourist shuttle used its modified life support systems to generate localized gravity distortions. A cargo hauler transformed its waste recycling unit into an unconventional weapon. Even the Council Station's basic functions returned to new purposes, creating interference patterns that disrupted enemy targeting systems. The Defiant led this impromptu fleet not through superior firepower, but through the very thing that had made humanity's innovation so powerful: creativity unleashed. When it was over, the enemy fleet was disabled, their crews surrendering to a collection of civilian ships that shouldn't have been able to fight at all. In the council chamber, the representatives sat in stunned silence. This, Chen addressed them, is humanity's real gift to the galaxy. Not the technologies we created, but the reminder that progress doesn't come from following rules. It comes from daring to break them, from trying the impossible, from seeing limitations as challenges rather than absolutes. The Council's response was unprecedented. The faction behind the attack was exposed and disbanded. The technological development protocols, maintained for centuries, were completely rewritten. And humanity, the species that had turned an unwanted gift into a revolution, was finally recognized as a full equal in galactic society. The Defiant remained a symbol of this new era. Its innovations spread throughout the galaxy, not as carefully controlled advancements, but as inspirations for others to build upon. Every species brought their own perspective, their own creativity, leading to an explosion of technological development that transformed society. They still don't quite understand us, David commented months later, watching ships of various species experimenting with hybrid technologies near the Defiant's patrol route. They don't need to, Chen replied. They just needed to learn what humanity figured out long ago, that the best gifts are the ones you share. The Defiant moved through space, no longer alone in its impossible capabilities, but forever remembered as the ship that showed the galaxy a new way forward, not through power or control, but through the uniquely human traits of creativity, determination, and the unshakable belief that rules were meant to be broken.